I am a self-proclaimed BMW gay, but am I gay for the 2024 BMW X1 M35i? Let's find out. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Sparkplug TV. My name is Chris and I do car reviews for literally everybody, not just car enthusiasts. Before I begin today's video, please do me the biggest favor ever and like this video, comment something down below, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I drop a new video, which is whenever I can. Typically Fridays at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you for your support. The BMW X1 started in 2009. It is their compact crossover sport activity vehicle, or as the rest of us refer to it as, an SUV. We are now in the third generation, which started in 2023. It originally came out with one trim level, one powertrain, one drivetrain, and one transmission. Now, for the 2024 model year, we're getting a higher output M edition, which, in my opinion, not entirely necessary, but we'll get into why in just a little bit. The BMW X1 comes in two different trim levels, starting around $42,000 for the xDrive 28i. This is the M35i that starts around $51,000, but there's about $7,000 worth of packages on here that adds up to $58,000. What I can tell you off the top of my head is that it does come with the M Sport Professional package, the Driver Assistance Pro package, as well as a few others, including the $1,200 Blue Bay Laguna Metallic, which is literally the coolest blue I've seen in a very long time. Typically the X1 comes in either 18 or 19-inch wheels, but because this is the M, it comes with 20-inch wheels with the red M brake calipers that are extremely good at stopping. I would hope so. Every BMW X1 comes with a turbocharged 2.0-liter inline four-cylinder engine. The base engine outputs 241 horsepower. Meanwhile, this higher output version outputs 312 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of total torque. Now, the difference in 0 to 60 miles an hour between the two versions of the same four-cylinder isn't all that much either. This gets 0 to 60 miles an hour in just 4.8 seconds. Meanwhile, the base engine gets it in about 5.6 seconds. This one comes with an adaptive M suspension. All models come with all-wheel drive, thus the xDrive. They also all come with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. In the looks department, I actually prefer the M version over the standard xDrive. I really like the way that the vents look, especially with the Shadowline package. It looks really, really great. I also think that this is the best the X1 has ever looked. The BMW's design language has been really highly contested lately, but I think it looks really great on the X1, especially these daytime running lights. Again, the daytime running lights recently, especially for like the X5 and the X3 and the 3 Series, they've all been hotly contested, especially with that bracketed look, but I really like the way that these look. My favorite outward expression of the BMW X1 M35i has got to be the back end. I really think they did an incredible job on the design language of the back end. I really love the modern BMW LED tail lamps juxtaposed with this diffuser in the back, and there is a tailpipe for every single cylinder. 1, 2, 3, 4. Quad tailpipes. Love that. It also comes with an automatic liftgate. It is a luxury car after all. And again, as always, don't know the cargo capacity off the top of my head, but I will put it down below. Now, here we are in the 2024 BMW X1 M35i. And the X1 newest redesign did come out before the X2, but they share a very identical interior, if not completely identical. This one does come with the iDrive 9 infotainment system, which is supposed to be a little less complicated than the 8.5. It's going to have similar outfits in terms of the way that it is used. It's got this scroll through system, but from my perspective, it still is a lot to kind of sift through in terms of just information and what you have to kind of deal with. Now, there is a back button and there are a few dedicated buttons for the media, the telephone, and the navigation system, but there's really not any other like dedicated buttons other than this floating center console that I do like the design of. And there are, you know, some buttons like the park for the 360-degree camera, the My modes, the different drive settings, as well as the brake hold and the, you know, the gear selector and all that good stuff, the volume and stuff. There's no longer an iDrive remote controller down in the center console because the entire infotainment system is completely touchscreen. And, you know I raved about it in the i5, but I don't know if I like it in here, and especially because it's been giving me a lot of problems. The CarPlay is solely, at least from what I've seen, is solely wireless, and it constantly is itself. Whenever I'm on a phone call, it doesn't work. It will like cut out. If I'm on a phone call and using the maps, it cuts out. If I'm using the maps and listening to a podcast, it will like crackle and make a bunch of noise, and it's just not really that good. I do like the gauge cluster. I like the way that it is customizable. It's just as customizable as, say, the i5 that I had. In general, I mean, like, it is a miniaturized modern BMW. Now, it takes similar design cues from, say, the newest 5 Series, the newest 7 Series, and the newest X5, but miniaturize it into this compact SUV. Now, this open pore eucalyptus wood grain is a very nice wood grain feature, and I do like it. I wouldn't have chosen it for this upholstery option, but I do like it. It's very nice. So I like the floating center console. I think it's a really interesting design. The center console cargo space is not really there. Because of that, they do have a lot of center cargo space in the underneath this like floating design, right? But because there's no buttons and there's no center stack, they have basically allocated it for the USB-C charging ports, the cup holders, as well as this cradle style phone charging pad that has a lock bar position like a roller coaster. Every time I put my phone in it, it slides whenever I'm taking a corner. So it doesn't really do the job that it's intended to, but it's there posing like it's supposed to. It does also have these really interesting floating door handles that you use on the door panels themselves to close the door. I kind of like them because it also has the same kind of jutting out on the door panel that kind of goes into this floating motif that this has. It's a very interesting design, and I like the design of the interior overall. I just wish there were physical buttons. There were enough physical buttons and controllers in the i5 to make me happy. I was sold on the iDrive 8.5 in that, but because this has given me so much issue, and because there's not enough physical buttonry, I'm not really sold on it. Now, to speak to the driving, so we're gonna put it into sport mode, and then we're gonna put the transmission into the sport mode as well. Now, if you heard that crackle and that pop, that's a fake noise. BMW has been known to put fake sounds in their latest cars, but this has got to be the most egregious offender of this kind of technology, where they are using these fake engine notes as well as the gear changer. That is not a real gear shift noise. That is fake. The main adjective that I have to use for the way that this thing drives is nimble. Now, the architecture of this car, because it's so small and compact, it drives really well. I mean, it is so nimble. It is glued to the road, and it has no problem articulating around corners. It is just an absolute joy to drive. The transmission is really good at shifting, even though it has fake transmission noises. It's really good at its job. And the suspension is perfectly tuned for sport driving, right? It's got an adaptive dampening suspension. The problem is that it is too hard for a day-to-day use. Again, taking corners and driving dynamically, it does great, right? But from a day-to-day perspective, it is so hard and stiff on the suspension use. So that last point parlays well into my first point in the video, which is that not every single BMW needs to be an M BMW. My first question is, who is this made for? It's kind of like the PT Cruiser Turbo or the Volkswagen Sport. Who were those made for, right? I mean, I think it's an interesting take on a sports car, sport SUV, sport activity vehicle, as they like to call it. But it's like not really incredible at being an SUV and it's pretty decent at being a sports car, but for somebody like me who wants a two-car solution, this isn't for me, right? Like, because if I want like a two-car solution, I want a F-150 pickup truck and an M4, right? Like, I want a sedan style, or the coupe, I guess the Grand Coupe style BMW M4. I don't necessarily want this. If I want a super crazy, you know, outfitted, turbocharged, supercharged SUV that can do everything, I'm gonna want a Mercedes-AMG GLE 63S, right? Because that can not only get 0 to 60 in 3 seconds, it can also still tow, it can go off-road, and it can do all of the SUV things that I want. The other thing is that we barely have any more station wagons in America anymore. It's all just SUVs. So in that sense, they will sell. I just find it really interesting that the suspension is tuned impeccably perfectly well for a sport nature, but even though it has adaptive dampening suspension, it doesn't actually like dampen it to like a comfort mode when you're driving, and I find that to be kind of annoying. I'm very interested to see who this is gonna be for, because from my perspective, I like it, right? Like, the interior is gorgeous. Like I said, it's a miniature BMW on the inside. You know, the engine is great. Like, it's a great engine. It drives well enough in a nimble, fast sense like that, right? But the price point, like, it's fair enough for something of this level. Like, it makes sense enough. $58,000 for a BMW, especially one with an M badge on it, that's actually very reasonable. But I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. As much of a BMW gay as I am not, I don't know, this isn't for me. So with that, thank y'all for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I drop a new video, which is whenever I can, Fridays at 4:30 p.m. And I will see y'all later. Bye-bye. Hey Sparks, thanks for watching today's video. Do you want more Sparkplug TV content? Then you can choose one of these 3 options. Right over here. The middle button is to subscribe to my channel, so please do that. Right over here. These 3. I can't see them in real life, but they're right here.